Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Expert Speak. It gives me great pleasure to this Expert Speak to invite Vidya Pradeep. She's Executive Vice President, Consumer Credit Cards at HDFC Bank. She's a remarkable person, spearheading credit card innovation and driving the portfolio at a bank which has, at last RBI reported data, 19 million cards in force and adding half a million a month. Besides that, she also champions debit cards in the portfolio at HDFC Bank and digital platforms such as PayZapp and SmartBuy. We're going to have a fantastic conversation about innovations in credit cards in India. Welcome, Vidya.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Hi, Adil. Great to connect.
So, Vidya, you have a ringside view, right, at the biggest portfolio in India on what innovations are happening. Maybe you can start with you just telling us what you believe are the changes or the innovations sweeping through the credit card industry in India.
Yeah, so I think, Adil, the main ones, I think, from a credit card point of view as a market, we still are at a 5% penetration. And I think the bulk of the innovation itself, most issuers are doing is how to expand the space, how can we better our penetration from where we are as a country. So I think the first primary innovation itself is UPI, because UPI is a very, very large proliferated payment instrument in India, and it got opened up for credit card. And the fact that you can link your RuPay credit cards to UPI, and you can gather a lot more spends there and acquisition there is a primary innovation. And I think as a market, we were, we had to test the waters as to how it works. But happy to share that the offtake has been excellent. There are customers who are loving a virtual card, which earlier did not exist as a concept. At least I didn't see many use cases where consumers were taking virtual cards. But now, with proper use cases, they are linking their RuPay cards, whether it's virtual or physical. And I think there is a space, there's going to be a lot more innovation, because then there's going to be UPI on EMI, where you can make EMI payments and so on and so forth. So that's one bucket where I think it's a very good beginning, and I think we are all putting our energies on how to make it big. The second is just sheer onboarding. How do I get more access across to the underpenetrated market, whether it's tier one cities, tier two, tier three? Today, I don't think the access, if they want a credit card, it is not so easy for them to get a credit card. So, just the fact that you don't have great platforms for customers to immediately get a card, how well you can underwrite them, how quickly you can give a credit card, at least a starting credit line, get them started on that journey, and then you can upgrade their limits and so on. But just improvising on onboarding, better tech, better digital onboarding is the second area of innovation. And I think there's going to be a lot of work that will happen there. A lot of us as issuers, you can see there's huge improvement from COVID to now, and I think the best is yet to come. So everybody will innovate a lot in that space. And I think third, we do have contactless payments as a space that we really want to, whether it's going to give us a lot of scale, whether it is going to complement QR based payments, we are yet to see. But I think tap and pay, whether it's on card or mobile, or a wearable device, I think that is a space that is not yet explored, with India digitalizing a lot. And there's so much of technology adaptation that's happening. We are really hoping that India makes that quick shift, and we would like them to start seeing using tap and pay quite a lot. So I think these three will be the primary areas where innovations are going to happen.
Fantastic. Let's dive into these three first then. So with UPI, right, truly exciting, everyone's been talking about it. Should we think of this as essentially, 10x access? So we're going to see usage go up, spends go up, and then more consumers wanting the product. How should we think about what UPI is going to do to the credit card business as it stands today? And secondly, right, whenever something new happens, there are always some issues, and we've seen news reports about big merchants pulling off and the fact that the new commercials are taking time to stabilize. Just talk us through what's happening with UPI and how it's going to play out over 12 months.
So I think the first leg that we saw is very exciting. The fact that there are a lot of customers who wanted the service, approached the banks for the service. started linking the card without too much of push nudge, and then the those followed. But the fact that, like you said, what is the impact of it? I think every active customer who wants it and who's linked his card, we thought that the spend per card and usage will be probably half of what they put out. But we are seeing a healthy 13,000 to 15,000 spend on UPI for a customer who's linked his card and he wants to do his spends on UPI. So what's happening is, there was a set of spends that he was doing outside and he was doing using UPI. But now at an aggregate level, when you allow the customer to spend, you're definitely seeing anywhere between 3x to 4x effect that can come. The more and more merchants are also expanding and accepting that form factor of payment. Like you said, I think the carding and giving the card and giving the service is lesser of the issue right now. I think more and more understanding that this is going to open up the floodgates, and customers will use it as a primary form factor, and merchants, more and more merchants opening it up. Because you're right, I mean, there were merchants who first opened it up, and in some cases they've withdrawn or they've not yet opened it up. And there's a lot of work happening, even from our side or from the network side, to make that happen. But I think once that is over, and I think it's a typical story of another 3 to 6 months, that'll get sorted. Once that happens, I think the story is anywhere between 3x to 4x.
Yeah, that's really interesting, right? Because I think that's a game changer. If we're able to drive so much higher usage on a credit card, then it drives so much more value for both the consumer and for the issuer. That's fantastic. Now, you touched upon both virtual card and you touched upon EMI. Let's talk about those, right? Because somehow those innovations are also sometimes tied into UPI, sometimes standalone. So, virtual card, right? How are consumers using, responding to the virtual card, and what is driving their response to virtual card? And second, right, I think India has truly innovated on EMI on card. Today we're seeing books, right? SBI card reported a few weeks ago, wherein you're seeing the EMI component as 38% on outstanding. Just talk to us on how consumers are thinking of EMI.
Yeah. So I think I'll address the virtual card first. I think it is probably the first time, because I've noticed and I've also experimented a lot in the last 20 years. Very early on, we launched a virtual card purely as a security card, saying that you don't have to use your primary card number. From a security point of view, you can use your virtual card. We tried few use cases, but I think now if you have extremely sharp use cases where, for a purpose, for a specific purpose, where you're matching the want of the customer and you're giving a service via virtual card, we are seeing a lot of offtake. This is whether it's in the world of commercial cards, business cards, B2B. In retail currently, it's a UPI and few other use cases like forex. I think virtual card with very clear purpose for a segment of customers who really want to use that as a purpose, and they want to keep their primary card as a separate card, and for this particular purpose they want to use a virtual card. I think it's starting to work. And I think that there is a future if in case there is separate use cases and very sharp use cases. If it's very fuzzy, you won't see customers opting for it because they'll be like, why do I need so many cards? But if it's very sharp and the end use is very specific, then I think it's great. I think EMI, like you said, I think every bank, and more so now, affordability is extremely crucial. We are in an era where consumers like to make their payments via EMI. There are many products. Slowly, it was just electronics, but now there's a lot of variety of EMIs, right? Even for lifestyle products, even high-end watches, even for jeans, even for any product for that matter, they want to take EMI. There's also loan on cards where customers get easy access to loan on cards. So I think anything which is easy access of affordability, right, which that is at the heart of the program. When the customer has been using a credit card, and when we as an issuer know that the customer is a good customer and he's a low risk customer, then I think that lot of affordability, new form factors of affordability will also come in. So I think the EMI book for every bank is, it can increase very well. We are also working on it. I think it's a very important space, and most banks will hold on to it in a regime where revolve rates are dropping.
Got it. Got it. And I think the EMI is truly a fantastic product, and credit, to HDFC Bank for pioneering it. But if I'm buying a television for 50,000 rupees and it's a no cost EMI, literally, right, it's someone almost giving me 5,000 rupees saying, here, I'll fund it. You don't have to pay me anything extra. Let's carry on. And it's fantastic that even though in America, which is such a developed market, they have not, innovated this fast to build a product that exactly captured the customer zeitgeist at the time BNPL was taking off in the West, right?
Absolutely. I think in some markets, in some markets, the issuers, like in Croatia, we do some crosstalk with these countries. Their EMI component is very big because somewhere the issuer takes the load of bearing a part of the interest. There's a lot of interest-free credit cards, repayment products that are there. But in India, it is a very good model, and I think it's a very evolved model as well, where I think consumers, if they once understand it, the repeat purchases are very high. So it's just that the awareness and the fear of taking a product on EMI is always there. They don't want to block their limits forever. But I think once they're open to it and they buy that one TV once, they understand that this is not coming to them with any load, that they've also got an offer on top of it, and it has not costed them much. So they have understood the process, and then the repeat purchase for us is 65%. So once a person gets on to EMI, they end up repeating and they keep buying more things on EMI.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely fantastic, right? I think it's all about education, and the more we can educate the consumer that this is a tremendous financial benefit to you, because, like you said, right, everyone wins in this situation, which is what drives the sophistication. So I think more and more education will make a difference there. Now let's go to the second topic, right? And this is again very interesting in innovation in onboarding. China has 1 billion cards in force. America has 1 billion cards in force. We have 4% market penetration. What innovation are we going to see, Vidya, in the next year's time when it comes to consumer onboarding?
So, yeah, I think this is something that all of us want to change about India. For many of us who are driving the business, and you wonder why you're at 93 million, 94 million cards in India, right? I mean, and it is like many other banks, like the numbers you quoted. It's 1 billion in US, and there's one bank there which has more credit cards than what we have as a country. So, if in case we look at how those banks have gone about it, be it a Chase or a Capital One or any large bank, I think the main difference is extremely easy access, and they a lot of customer self onboarding tools, which I think we did not have for the longest period of time. If you see, we have a lot of traditional distribution models, which has been the main fray for a very long time. The fact that most of these other players, even globally, have innovated with multiple product instruments, and you will see a lot of digibanks like a Mox model or a Chime and so on and so forth. There are many like Revolut. If you see what they exactly do, it is extremely simple. Just click, just download, just apply, you'll get a card in an instant, right? So there are people who've done that, made it very big, and I think a bigger part of it is not just creating the app and creating the journey, but being able to back it with a lot of good underwriting, data based underwriting, being able to finally give that customer a basic credit line to start with. So I think it is a combination of a great tech and great digital onboarding journey, backed with great underwriting platforms, AI, data, alternate data, everything that is risk. And because we should take the right risk as well. So it is a tough thing to crack, but I think that is where the secret sauce really lies, and I think that's where most of the work will happen in the coming months to come and years to come. And I think finally, self service, I think after that, it's not just dropping the customer. The fact that the customer in most of these places globally can also service, there's a lot of self service bots, apps, everything that they can do end to end, which where they don't have to contact a branch or contact a human being. So I think the whole thing has to come together for this scale to happen. And I think with the kind of work that all issuers are doing, we are doing, I'm sure everybody else is working on, I think that's where the key difference is going to come.
Absolutely right. Great answer. I think this is something that's very close to our heart at Bank Bazaar also, right? Because we partner on a co-branded programs. Now, you mentioned 3 points, right? You spoke about the tech and the user experience. That's the front end. You spoke about the right underwriting and the right policy, which can bear the right risk weight, right, or load. And lastly, right, you spoke about partnerships and co-brands. What do you think we are most ahead in as a country amongst these three? And what do you think we need to invest most resources in if we're going to bring on board the next 100 million cards?
I think we are more evolved in the third, because I
Hmm.
think somewhere we've started striking the right partnerships. We are starting to work with the right people who can bring that kind of tech and data analytics and that kind of intelligence. And there's a lot of handshaking that's happening between industries, banks and players, fintech players, and people who have the customer information. There's a lot of work that's happening in co-brands. So I think there's some more evolvement in terms of work. I think the first part, where even a person who's in Amritsar or anywhere, I mean, in regional languages, can quickly understand that this is very easy and I can get a card and this is how I can apply. I think there's a lot of bridging there to be done, because I think for more evolved customers, there could be solutions that we have. But across the board, do we, as an industry, do we have easy access to that credit line? And probably BNPL is far more easier to access, but hardcore credit cards, I think the access is not as easy as it should be. So I think in layer one, in terms of journeys, platforms, how much regional are you making your platform so that everybody is understanding that it's easy to get your card. And it's also about awareness, Adil. It's like nobody knows where they need to come download to apply for an easy credit card. So I think track one and track two, I think, is the most important, because alternate data, understanding the risk scores of customers, where the customers are they good? Do they need to be given a 25,000 limit or a 50,000 limit, or are they 1 lakh limit? There, I think right now there's a lot of data that is there everywhere, but to bring everything together and have the right visibility of the customer, I think we've made some progress, but I think there is a lot more that can be done.
Yeah, absolutely, Vidya. I think that I fully agree with you. It's kind of ironic, right? To build a digital or a full self-service business, the highest dependence is on the policy, right? And I
Yeah,
think that's really, really interesting how it all comes down to policy and data. But we
absolutely.
think it comes down to marketing, but it actually comes down to policy and data. Now,
Absolutely.
you briefly touched upon a secured credit card. Now, as someone who runs a large 19 million, maybe as we speak, it hits 20 million, I don't know. But tell me about secure credit cards, right? Is this a serious scalable product in India?
Yeah, I think it is scalable, because I see there's always this policy, because you and I both said the same thing. I think it is the heart of everything, right? You really need the right kind of policy. It's a make or break, and I don't think that just by doing a secure product, a lien backed card or an FD backed card or whatever we call it, but just to do that vanilla without any customer information, blindly doing it, will still, we've seen the results of that. That is not something that can help scale, and it may not be the right thing to do, because it, at some point in time, it will start giving you trouble in terms of what are the delinquencies, etc., etc. But if it is backed with right information as well, and if it goes in combination, that yeah, I have partial visibility to the customer, at least I have some information about the customer, and I am not blind spotted there, and I'm also using this as a safety net, and I'm going to give this, and then when I have complete confidence about the customer, I'm going to remove this security layer, and I'm going to give them a pure play credit card. I think that understanding, cracking that formula is going to be important. I don't think we've done it accurately, but if we can catch that secret formula and that combination of both working together, I think it's very scalable, not in isolation.
Okay, okay. Very, very interesting, right? So there's more to it than just putting out a standard secured card. One needs to go a level deeper. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Now let's move to the third aspect you brought up when we started this discussion, which is innovations around tap and pay. Just tell us how this is going to play out in India, right? And we were talking earlier about the fact that India is today a QR code market. How should we think about tap and pay? How soon do you think we'll see it in India? What is it going to do for the Indian consumer?
So I think a lot of work is happening as we talk, and some are already live. But I think the front-facing applications, most of the large fintech players, banks, everybody is getting ready with tap and pay. And I think it's a matter of 6 months that everybody will be out with it. We'll have to wait to see what will happen on the iPhone side. But apart from that, I think there will be complete readiness. Whether customer prefers to use a bank app or whether they want to use another large PSP app, they will have an option to do a tap and pay. And you're right. I think there are countries which are fully tap and pay, and they don't have a such a large QR setup like it happens in Australia. And there are some where QR is so large that that tap and pay is not worked. But there's been a lot of dialoguing. There's been a lot of consumer research we've been doing with the networks as well to see how it's going to really span out in India, so that we make the right kind of investments. And we think that it is not going to be one alone. I think QR will remain as one of the preferred mode of making a payment. But I think tap and pay will also be a serious second. So over a period of time you will see consumers even dabbling with both if required, because there will be places like like transit, etc., etc. More than even QR, people may prefer a tap and pay. So I think it's better to work on it as an industry. While it may not completely be 100% that everybody is going to move to tap and pay, but we believe that there will be a sizable set of customers who would love to use tap and pay over every other instrument. So we are not able to put a finger on what the size will it be 25%, will it be 30%, we don't know. But we believe that we should make investments in that direction. And as an issuer, we will want to, in our bank app, we will want to give all the form factors. So we will back it with 2x rewards or 3x rewards, because you will want customers to see you as an issuer who's allowing you to use all form factors. I'll give you QR based payments, I'll give you tap and pay based payments. We can't just give one to the customer. The customer is king. So he will choose whatever he likes to choose.
Yeah, absolutely. And from what I'm hearing from you, what I'm understanding is the form factor of the credit card is going to change, but
It will
credit
change.
cards are going to continue to grow at this rapid 20 to 30% CAGR. And now that they're also on the UPI network, we're not going to see a zero sum game, are we, Vidya, between, let's say, the classic UPI from your savings account payment and credit card. Both can coexist and grow.
We've seen that, and the numbers and the growth. In fact, the penetration in India, which was about 3.5%, became four slowly, became 4.5 slowly, became five. So we believe that we've done a very good job in that penetration. This would be languishing, right? This should ideally withdraw. The number of cards that all issuers put out on a monthly basis should become lesser and lesser if in case this was the other way around. So that's not happening. Like we said, in the credit card industry will grow anywhere between 20 to 30%, and we are seeing that. So I think it's complementing. And credit cards, the fact that it gives a credit free period, that it has its benefits. Super premium cards offer lounge access, offers rewards, offers the benefits. You do have your flights, bookings, everything. I mean, it is a power packed platform. So even in a country like ours, I don't believe that it is going to be a complementary role. And credit cards, the growth may not be 50%, 60%, right? But it definitely will move from this 5% penetration to 10 and 15 in the many years to come. So there's no two ways about it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We had a executive from Visa, senior executive on the show, and they say what is happening with Visa in India, but it's growing at 30%. It's the fastest growing market in the world. So I think it's
Absolutely.
so much opportunity in India. Now, Vidya, no conversation on innovation today can be complete without artificial intelligence. And just to be clear, I'm not talking about building core models, right? Today, which are we all have access to $10 billion models which are out there, right? Which are available on subscription. But using AI and training it and getting value in the consumer life cycle, which are the areas you feel in credit card life cycle that AI has the greatest potential to change in the next 3 years?
So I think right now, Adil, where we see the best use cases today, there's just so much of information, so much of offers coming to you, the number of SMSs customers get or emailers a customer gets. So I think there is a dire need of customers to be communicated what exactly is relevant to them, right? So in our consumer credit cards portfolio that I manage, I think AI is working the most in relevant offers, reaching the right, like for customers who use EMI, like we spoke earlier in the discussion, he's told more and more EMI based offers with merchants that he might like, where he's probably shown history in the past or might have recommendation that he might like a similar offer that he's used in the past. So we feel AI is very, very, and we are doing it, we are working with one partner, and we are seeing that AI works very well when you have to drive usage and drive relevant offers, so that I'm not just mass blasting, I'm not telling Vidya everything that I'm telling the rest of the portfolio as well. So you're being sharper, because you also want to filter. You don't want to tell 100 things to your consumer, you want to tell that five that matters to your customer, right? So in that space, I think it's very, very important whether to the right customer, you're pitching the right upgrade of a card, you're taking the right cross sell products. So I think in the life cycle management, I see AI playing a role beautifully, and we've seen it. We continue to learn from it and we're tweaking it, but that's where it's working the best. Where we are yet to see the results is where we use AI from a policy decision making point of view. Whether, that is where we need to grow a little bit more information to see whether that is something that we are ready to fully bet big on. And their policy also is working on a lot of experiments, but I'm sure it's a matter of time. Like we've learned even in portfolio, in our life cycle management, it's working beautifully. I'm sure that in the policy side also, we should be able to extend and use AI.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, right? I think nudging and special offers, it's a game changer. We on our side again have seen when you reach at the right time, saying that this is the benefit of using it in the next or activating in the next 5 days, there's a 20% jump up in spend per card that one can deliver. How about in the area of both customer voice sales and customer support? Talk us through what AI is doing in areas which otherwise traditionally are pretty large cost centers. And not only are they large cost centers, but they are also hard to scale.
Yeah, so I think that, it's strange that, there was a point in time that most of us believed that for handling a customer, you definitely, beyond a point, you really need that only a warm body will be able to service a customer or to handle a customer, right? So we've seen this journey over the last 20-25 years. But now we are very clearly seeing that if in case you have the right AI and learnings of a customer, what the earlier complaints were, what is the sensitivity and the profile of the customer, etc., etc., you match it with voice based bots and other bot mechanism, we've been able to keep the our service team flat unless it's an escalation, etc., etc. Other than that, the self service channels bots are able to manage today beautifully. And we are also amplifying and using AI more and more and more, and database decisioning more and more and more there, whether at what point can you give a waiver, at what point you exercise a CAD, etc., etc. Because there's so much of information from a customer profitability point of view, and what the customer has behaved in the past and what kind of complaints he's already given, brought into the bank. I think it's easy now to build a model. Earlier I wouldn't have said so, it looked very difficult to crack. But I think over a period of time, even customers are preferring to. I think you and I for sure can say that in a lot of scenarios, we've decided to either do a bot call or a chat, right, for quicker resolution. So that is something that we are doing now. So I think that that era is arrived, and definitely servicing, whether it is outbound or inbound using bots. If you have the right bot with the right AI and the right intelligence, we are seeing it work. I wouldn't
Yes.
say it's going to completely replace the traditional service systems, because we need them for escalations. We need to resolve. Finally, there is that last leg which is required for X percentage of customers, but it will not be required for 100% of the customers.
That's great, Vidya. I'm going to, use this video and speak to my CTO immediately after this call and say that the leader running the largest credit card portfolio in India says you don't need to believe you always need a warm body. Fantastic. So we're out of time here. So I have only one last question, and no discussion on innovation will be complete without innovation in security, right? Tell me if my assessment is correct, because you have a tremendous amount of consumer inflow coming into you. But I believe that the systems designed in India are secure. What we need to do is have an awareness and an education. So these very sophisticated phishing attacks, right, which use psychological tools, people have the education to not share that OTP. It almost just comes down to that one single mantra. Are we going to, what do you feel about what's going to happen in the security space?
So I think there's a lot of discussions. If you see the larger direction on payments that has come repeatedly from the regulator, and I was a part of many of those discussions, I think there is definitely, like, there was a foresight to look at one way of securitizing the system, right? So there was an OTP, there is a tokenization that's come in. So I think repeatedly, when there is a spike in frauds and other areas, social engineering, everything is very difficult to manage. So I think we did all the right set of things, but now I think we are evolving. I think we've come to a certain level of tokenization, and post tokenization we are seeing a lot of drop in disputes and frauds as it is as an industry, and we'll see more of it when we implement it 100%. Post that, I'm sure that there's already conversations on voice based payments and voice recognition, face IDs and biometric, and uh, device binding. So more and more tech will evolve. I don't think we are far away from it. I think in a year's time there'll be more and more progress on how because technology is arrived to a level where you're able to open your mobile banking using a biometric or face ID. So definitely we will move in that direction where an OTP is not the only way to make a payment, and there will be more improvisations that comes along. As we talk, there's a lot of work that's happening, and I'm sure it's a matter of time.
Fantastic. So, Vidya, thank you so much. The objective of this show is to have senior leaders, right, speak directly to the consumer on what's happening in the industry. Today, the people watching and I had the unique privilege of talking to the person running India's largest credit card portfolio. You're knowledgeable, you're precise, and you're persuasive. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Adil. Thank you for having me on this, and I'm really privileged to be talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye. See you.